Hi guys. So today's video is gonna be a little bit different from some of my usual stuff. It's commentary on kind of two specific YouTubers I find to be a bit problematic. b.e.d and b.e.d. As far as them making a mockery and reinforcing the stigma of binge eating disorder. It's really frustrating as someone who struggles with binge eating myself, like disordered eating, to see them troll their audience and do everything, like fall deeper and deeper into their illness. Do everything in their power to justify what they do. And they don't take accountability. Now I can give a little insight into my experience. I've been struggling with disordered eating for a while, since I was like, I want to say when it really kind of got into it, I was probably more like 14. I was kind of having like some earlier food stuff going on that kind of reinforced the binge eating later. Like, I'm a little bit high likelihood on the spectrum, autism spectrum, and I've always had weird stuff with food. I have a lot of sensory issues, and I was always very picky. And my dad had a lot of anger issues, and so like sometimes it was fine if I didn't want to eat something, and other times he would like freak the fuck out. So yeah, it's just like one of those little pieces for me. Like, there's a bunch of shit. Like, I also have borderline personality disorder, and eating disorders are very common comorbidities with borderline personality disorder and autism spectrum. And for me, I even think my binging goes into what they call stimming. Because for me, it's not even always about consuming the food. For me, it's about the flavor. And like, it's so hard to explain, but like, there's multiple elements for me. But I mean, I've had time, I mean, even when I think about it, like I kind of started talking to my therapist about it. Like, I brought it up before, but it's still hard to say that I have an eating disorder, even though it's like so obvious. Like, I've made myself throw up plenty of times. I don't necessarily consider myself bulimic because it's not a constant thing, but I mean, more often than maybe I thought before. Like, when I actually sit there and think about it, I would hide shit. Like, I would hide that I was throwing up. And I still, like, I have a lot of habits of people with disordered eating. And my boyfriend noticed it before I really talked to him about it. Like, just the fact that I would hide away when I'm eating, but think about it, the fact that I would hide food and like just shit like that. And I would do it so subconsciously. It's one of those things. It takes a lot of work to break those habits. It takes therapy. Therapy is so important. You really have to address the trauma and stuff that leads you to using binge eating as a coping mechanism. And a lot of people who have binge eating disorder, especially people like b.e.d and b.e.d, who are in the superly morbidly obese category, tend to have a history of sexual abuse trauma. I don't know their stories, but sometimes they say things like Emerlyn Reed was saying something, this was a while ago, but she was saying like she felt like she couldn't remember something. That was my story, man. I had all the signs of someone who was sexually abused. And it used to fuck with me because I couldn't remember anything. I didn't remember anything until I was like 26, 27. And I'm dealing with that shit. I'm 32 now. I'm still trying to process all that. And it's hard for me. It really is hard for me. I can't always work on that aspect. I have to be in the right place mentally. And for a while I couldn't address it at all. I do EMDR therapy with my therapist. I would get so suicidal and so bad. And I've had pretty severe treatment-resistant depression. Until we finally found a combination of meds that helps. It's not 100%. I still deal with depression mostly daily. Much more mild than where I was. I mean, you could go back 2 years and see videos of me having breakdowns on YouTube. I keep them there just to show you how far I've come. I'm very open and honest on my channel about my mental health issues. So I've come a long way. It's been a process. You have to face these things head on. And it drives me crazy to see these people constantly bringing up therapy but not actually engaging with therapy. They just reinforce the stigma. And it makes it hard for people like me and other people who struggle with binge eating. It reinforces that shame. The cycle. It fucking sucks. Not to mention, you know, other problematic behavior. My big issue with both of them is them lashing out at people who really cared about them. Like, legitimately lashing out and getting angry. And Foodie Beauty is the worst about this. Just attacking people. She has so much rage. So much rage inside her. And it's getting worse and worse. If you see old videos of her, and then you compare them to now, oh, she's horrible now. Like, she didn't have her moments back then, but she's awful now. I don't understand how she still has fans. It seems very culty to me, the people who are still there. She very much controls and filters what gets to her in her comment section and stuff. She's not open to hearing other perspectives, even kind ones. Another issue I have with these two. This is just a whole thing in general, the whole intuitive eating thing. If you have an eating disorder, binge eating disorder specifically, you don't start with intuitive eating. That's not a... Intuitive eating is not meant for someone who is in their disorder. It's gotten so twisted and turned into a way to justify the disorder. You can't take something like that and give it to some, like, tell somebody who's in a disorder, here's a lifestyle to live by that basically says, like, listen to your body. Your body's all fucked. Your cravings are fucked. Your hunger system is fucked. You haven't been off all the shitty food long enough to know what your body wants, to know what your body needs. Your body's gonna tell you you want those carbs, you need those carbs, but you don't. Your body's gonna tell you, hey, I'm hungry, when you're not. You don't know hunger until you actually engage in the process. I've gone back and forth with my weight. I've struggled. Anytime things have gotten bad, it's my own cycle. I'm trying to break the cycle. And I've made progress over years, but like right now, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And I'm 228 pounds right now. I don't like it. I'm getting older. I worry about my health. And I am really trying to make changes. It is hard. It is really hard. You know what? I take accountability for my shit. I know. I'm aware. If anybody is interested in following me on my journey, you can subscribe. You don't have to. I appreciate anyone who subscribes. I will be very open, honest, transparent about my process. I am experimenting with different low-carb recipes. I'm working on trying to get my calories back down. I had a really, really terrible binge week last week, and that's just me being fully transparent, but that's kind of what made me really sit and stew in this. And I was talking to my therapist, and you know, things had went haywire in the last year, and I know COVID didn't help it. It wasn't so much the disease itself. Like, I've been pretty, like, certain aspects of my life haven't changed, but you know, the one thing that did change was the little things I would have to look forward to throughout the year. Those little events, those little things, other things to focus on, weren't there. I didn't have anything to look forward to. So then you get focused on food, and it becomes a cycle. And it's shitty. So, I'm looking at myself. I look at my calorie counts from last week. I said, oh no. Oh no, I never want to be like these two. I avoided the scale for a while. Like, I've gained like 30 pounds in the last year, over 30 pounds in the last year. I don't want to be Foodie Beauty. I don't want to be Emerald Reed. That's not going to be my story. They're toxic. They don't take accountability. They troll. They're Emerald Reed, she's kind of angry, but she's more defensive to me. Foodie Beauty is hateful. I mean, let's not get... I could go on a rant about her racism and all the other bullshit, but I'll just leave that one out of the conversation for now. That's a whole nother rant. But she's just downright hateful. She will throw her own supporters out the door for showing her any amount of concern about her health. And her health is going downhill fast. She's diabetic. She has high blood pressure. She's got asthma and like cardiac issues, and she's gonna fucking lose a foot if she doesn't do something. But she won't hear it. She's using every excuse to continue mukbanging. Her binges. And she'll try to say the mukbangs aren't binges, but they are. She's been doing these lives. It's like she's just going down the drain now. Ever since she got all these diagnoses, it's gotten worse. But when you think this woman couldn't get any worse, she's got worse. Foodie Beauty got put on Ozempic for her diabetes and to help curb her cravings. And what does she do? She goes into another thing she can abuse. Another thing to numb her. She starts indulging more in weed. I have no problem with weed. I smoke weed occasionally. But I also know that weed can make my binging worse. So I have to be careful about types of weed, when I smoke weed, blah blah blah. I have to be conscious of these things, because I know. Doesn't mean I haven't, you know, done that in the past here and there. Like, when I knew I was gonna binge, like, shit, it's happened in the past. I'm a lot more careful about it these days. Like, I know if I take an edible before bed, I'll just go to sleep. That's fine. I mean, I'm getting a medical card for that purpose, because I do struggle with insomnia, and I know that makes my binging worse. Like, I'm really trying to work on the sleep, because my sleep is dog shit. Like, I ask my therapist this, like, what makes people become self-aware? Like, I've been stupidly self-aware from a young age. Like, I think I'm an anomaly. As a child looking in the mirror, I'm like, is this real life? Or am I in a dream? I don't know, some bullshit. Like, literally, when I'm like 8 years old. Just that shit. But like, I always looked at myself from an analytical perspective. And yeah, when you're in a disease, it's hard to look at your own behavior until after it's happened. Sometimes it has to happen multiple times. You know, I had all the signs of borderline forever. I didn't get diagnosed in 2015. I didn't want to see myself as borderline. Personally, because anytime I hear borderline, that has its own stigma. I mean, and yeah, it makes some crazy making. I've worked a lot on it. I have to be really careful though before that spins out. And honestly, okay, this is another thing, this is not me diagnosing anyone, this is just from the perspective of someone who has borderline personality disorder. I honestly think that b.e.d, Chantel Marie, whatever the fuck she wants to go by these days, probably has borderline personality disorder. The lashing out, the identity crisis, the constantly changing her fucking channel name. I just see these signs that like are so glaring to me, and of course, you know, the overdoing the binging and all this stuff. She just, I don't know. Her behavior really reminds me of when I was like 13, 14, like when the borderline stuff really started to come out. I guess like that a lot of my issues started to kind of pop up like when puberty started hitting. I think that's pretty common. And depression. I mean, I struggle with self-harm. I have scars on my arms. I don't know how they're gonna show up. Some are worse than others. They're not as noticeable until like the summer when I start getting more color than ghost white. I got scars on my thighs. I got, you know, I've struggled. I've had suicide attempts. I've been hospitalized. I've gone through a lot of shit. My mental health has done this a bunch of fucking times. I have lost a bunch of weight in the past. Most of the time when I lose weight, it's like anywhere between 30 and 50 pounds is like just the same. Like I'll get down to like 170 and then I'll start climbing back up. It's done that. The lowest I ever got was 124. Maybe I'll do some fancy editing. I'll figure that one out. But I've been fat most of my life. Like, I was a really skinny kid. As soon as I started hitting any amount of hormones in my body, I started packing on weight a little bit. I got a little chub cheek and you know, regular puberty weight you put on as a woman. But then all my other issues started spiraling. All that fun stuff, that trauma really just hammers in your head. Yeah. So, I had a lot of issues. I was a problem kid. I was in the counselor's office a lot. Hey. But one of my little notes is that was about them monetizing their disorder, which is only going to make it harder for them to want to get help, to want to engage in therapy. And they both have so much resistance to the idea of therapy, like of addressing trauma, of facing things, of crying. Bitch, I cry a lot. I've cried so many tears in my life, I could probably fill up a fucking, you know, a large pool easily. I don't understand people who are afraid to cry. You need to let that shit out, man. No wonder b.e.d's so fucking angry. Start facing your emotions. Take a fucking hard look in the mirror. Really take a fucking look in the mirror. When it comes to therapy, maybe you should fucking talk to your therapist about why you don't like the idea of therapy. Maybe that's a place to start. I have empathy for people who struggle with binge eating disorder. I really do. I've watched 600-Pound Life, and I've been following the girls for a little while now. But there is something really frustrating when people are so far in their disorder that they're angry. They don't take accountability or responsibility for healing themselves. They externalize everything. Or they do the thing that Foodie Beauty and Amberlynn Reid, I think the thing that annoys me the most is like one day it's like, okay, I need to commit to my health, blah 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 blah. And what they do, like at most like 3 days sometimes. I think Amberlynn Reid probably impressed me the most by stringing together a few months where she actually was losing weight. Like, she to me is lesser problematic these days. It's like her and Foodie like switch places. Like Amber, she likes to troll, and that kind of irks me. And then her being snarky, and she wants to say everything's fat shaming or mental illness shaming. Pointing out a cycle is not shaming. A therapist does the same thing. They will point out behavioral patterns, or any good therapist will. They'll bring it up gently. They'll bring it up with empathy if they're good therapists. But they're going to point out cycles, and they're going to make you think. Critical thinking is part of the process. Taking hard looks in the mirror, facing those demons head on. Fucking crying your eyes out because you're seeing a light, you know? Life is about soul growth, and soul growth takes fucking hardship. Soul growth takes facing those demons head on. You know? I've had so many breakdowns in my life, I couldn't fucking tell you how many. I've struggled with so many things. I've had other issues, overspending. I'm digging myself out of debt now. I've been very proactive with that. I still catch myself. Spending extra money here and there. I'm really trying to think through purchases before I buy them, let things sit in my online carts and stuff. I'm doing a lot better than I was before. So much past regret, man. Way back in the day, I struggled with shoplifting, which is super common for people with borderline personality disorder. Nicked that one in the bud. I still feel those urges sometimes, yeah. That's just kind of part of, I have to acknowledge things that are part of my disorders. Personality disorder, eating disorder, depression, anxiety. I'm a fucking mess, and I know it. But I'm a mess who's trying to clean the fuck up. And that's the goal. And I know it's a long pathway. It's been a long pathway. I'm always striving to do better. And that's the whole point of this. I would like to be somebody who's open and honest here on YouTube, showing my progress, showing my process, and building a support group, I know there's other people out there on YouTube. I see other people express their frustration as people who struggle with binge eating disorder, Amberlynn Reid and Foodie Beauty. So I know I'm not alone. I get frustrated. There's always going to be people who are hateful. There's always going to be people who are just make fun of you because you're fat. I've been made fun of so many times for my weight ever since I was young. I've been made a joke of. I've had guys do awful fucking things. I had guys use me because I was fat, and they want to know what it was like to sleep with a fat chick. When I first started getting online and sending nudes or whatever bullshit, when manipulated into sending nudes, I had some guy say he threw up because he didn't realize I had a stomach. So don't say nothing about fat shaming or fat phobia. This ain't nothing about that for me. I've lived with it. I know all about it. For me, it's about my health. Mental health, physical health. I'm feeling it in my body. I have carpal tunnel syndrome. Possibly a pinched nerve or arthritis. I don't even fucking know right now. Maybe if I lose weight, I won't hurt as much. I'm hoping. I got a bad knee from a car accident. I got plates and screws in my knee. You know, I have things just physically that less weight would help with. Fatigue is a thing I struggle with, which makes it hard for me to like exercise. I'm trying. I bought some roller skates. I might have to like relearn my balance. I got rollerblades originally, I had to return them. So I got roller skates instead. I hope that's better. I'm trying to find things I can do that I like. I used to roller skate all the time when I was younger. Well, rollerblade, but my balance is a little wonky now with my knee. So roller skate might be better. Now my boyfriend is super supportive too, and he wants to skate with me, so he bought himself a pair too. And we're trying to find things we can do together. And I'm working on trying to find recipes that are lower carb that I like. And that'll be part of, started doing weekly vlogs, and so if you follow me, you'll see me do cooking stuff and experimenting with recipes and projects or whatever else the fuck I'm doing, and I'll maybe do some workout stuff, you know, whatever I'm doing, videos of me and my boyfriend skating. So, you know, if you wanna follow along, like I said, you can sub. Don't have to, but appreciate if you do. I was checking my notes to make sure I didn't really miss anything. Everything kind of fits into what I talk about. Not being super harsh in this. I'm frustrated, yes. But I kind of rant to my boyfriend about these two. He doesn't even really like fully know. He just kind of knows from what I say about them, but yeah. Oh yeah, this is Pickles, by the way, if you don't follow my channel. She's sweet. I have another cat who likes to scream, so luckily she's not interrupting. Yeah. You know, we need more people who aren't problematic like Foodie Beauty and Amberlyn Reed. We need people to be open, honest, and take accountability. We need to see people who are making steps, even if they fall back, and they can get back up and get back on it. Just because you slip up doesn't mean it's all lost. Everyone's gonna have slip-ups. You know, it's like a relapse. Relapse happens. It sucks. It's hard. But it's part of the process for people. Sometimes you have to experience that frustration and that sadness and shame and hurt and whatever else you experience from slipping up as part of the process and healing. And I hope Amberlyn Reed and Foodie Beauty can see that soon enough. Because if they don't, they're not gonna last much longer. I see the clock on Foodie Beauty ticking. My question to her is, do you really want to live? Because you sure aren't acting like it. Anyway, guys. As I said, if you want to follow me, you can subscribe. And have a great day. Bye.